Hello dear friends. In today's video, we will talk about the upcoming full moon in Cancer-Capricorn. You will learn what is the energy like, what you can expect, and which are the most significant themes, how to prepare for this full moon. First of all, the exact time of the full moon is on the 17th of January, Monday, around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The exact degrees which are triggered by the full moon are the 28th degree of Cancer and the 28th degree of Capricorn. So, if you have any planets, cusps of houses, or something important around those degrees, or even around the other cardinal signs, which are Aries, Libra, then this means that the full moon will trigger you more. It will activate important themes in your life. And some of the important things that we will talk about are the retrogrades of Mercury and Venus, and also the fact that Pluto is burned by the Sun. So Pluto is also playing a really important role for this full moon, and it's bringing even more intensity. So every full moon, basically this is an opposition between the Sun and the Moon, is bringing some kind of culmination, is bringing higher intensity. You know how some people can sleep very well, or sometimes we get over emotional, or even we say that this is not a recommended time for surgeries, for planned surgeries, because the body is oversensitive and usually there is more bleeding and overall it's not the best time. So all of this means that we do have this increased sensitivity and there are some internal processes which are happening. But this full moon is also very intense because the signs and the planets which are involved are even more emotionally triggering. First of all, the moon is in Cancer, the sign which she rules. So the moon is really strong. All of that means that emotionally we can be very open, that we can be oversensitive. Also, we may take so many things really personally. Sometimes this might be like unnecessary and kind of like just too much. So be aware of that. We might take things more personally than needed. And our sensitivity can make us more open to everything which is happening around us. Generally, we may react stronger to all of the events and circumstances happening around us. So the environment will play a major role. The family atmosphere, the emotional atmosphere, those will be extremely important topics. The other thing is that, as we said, Pluto is burned by the Sun. It means that Pluto is really, really close to the Sun. When a planet is less than 3 degrees away from the Sun, this planet is considered to be burned. And when this happens, we have blending energies. So the energy of the Sun and the burned planet are kind of like pairing up, working together. So Pluto is playing an important role here because the energies between Pluto and the Sun are blending. And all of this, of course, can create even more intensity. It may feel like we need to do something very important, like it's time for big transformations, big changes. And from the positive side, Pluto brings lots of empowerment, motivation, energy, commitment, focus, dedication. But there is always also a potentially challenging side that we also need to embrace and understand. And with Pluto, this could be the chance to dramatize too much, to kind of like look at everything as being very critical, very dramatic, very intense, which sometimes may also be an exaggeration. So it's definitely possible that we might be exaggerating our emotions or whatever is happening around us. We might see it more from the lens of black and white. It's like, oh, that's either totally amazing or, oh, that's absolutely horrible. And usually none of those are really accurate. Things are kind of mixed. So keep this in mind, that if something looks to you very dramatic and like it's never gonna change or whatever, this might be Pluto also talking here. And some of the other topics that Pluto can trigger are related to karma. Pluto is one of the planets related to the subconscious layers of our psyche. And this also is connected to some karmic experiences or karmic connections. So this full moon can trigger some of those karmic relationships or circumstances or events. And our attitude here is extremely important. Karma is being resolved when we accept whatever is happening. If it means going through some suffering, then it means going through this suffering. If it means letting something go, then it means letting something go. So whatever is happening, we need to accept it, especially if we want to change it. So Pluto is here to remind us that there are no coincidences, that everything happens for a reason. Now, here I want to do another little note here. If you are in a tough spot right now, it doesn't mean that you should also like beat yourself up and blame yourself and kind of like say, oh, you deserve that. You must have been a very bad person. This is absolutely pointless. So feeling sorry for yourself or blaming yourself won't do any good. So, and this also gets me to another perspective which I want to share with you, which is triggered by the full moon. It's the position of the adult against the position of the child. Capricorn and Cancer represent this axis, the grown-up, the mature, the wise, old person, and the childish, immature perspective. Of course, she can also be playful and all of that, but here we need to recognize those two positions. And none of them is like the only one which we should choose. Basically, a full moon is always about the balance. We should not neglect one of those and say, okay, enough with those childish thoughts, emotions, I'm done. I'm growing up, I will be only an adult, mature, wise person. This hardly ever works, as well as the other way around. Like if you are over responsible and kind of like prematurely grown up and all of that, it doesn't mean that now you should become like a reckless child and, like forget about your responsibilities. So the full moon can push us a little bit in this direction, like we need to choose. Like, because an opposition is just more difficult to contain. And it gets easier if we want to like choose one of those. But this is not a good idea. So the more, the growing experience comes when we embrace both of those and we give them place. So the mature part of ourselves and also the inner child. So yeah, some karmic experiences, some karmic relationships can be triggered by this full moon. And this is also a great time to release some of those. And again, if we want to release them, we always need to accept them first. This is like required. This is mandatory. So think about your life. What is it that you want to transform? Where do you need to be more like a grown-up or responsible person? And where do you need to be more playful, more open, more flexible? Because again, we need to be somewhere in between those two polarities. Some other topics which can be triggered as well are about extreme effort versus relaxation, versus letting go or going with the flow. This is happening because the Sun and Pluto, the burned Pluto, are in Capricorn. So this combination can bring incredible motivation and also potential to make a huge effort, to like work extremely hard and be extremely concentrated. And on the other side, the moon is in Cancer. Cancer is the sign of relaxation and taking it easy and letting go and being flexible and adapting to whatever is happening around us. So this is also kind of like a conflict we need to resolve. Like, do we make an extreme effort and fight against something, or do we try to be more flexible and adapt ourselves to the new world, to the new environment? The answers are not simple, and I think that here everyone will have their own lesson. So unfortunately, right now, I cannot say that, this is the only path. So everyone should go in this direction and be extremely flexible and not fight with things. And this is just one side of the story. So I guess here you need to look closer and allow yourself to feel, allow yourself, your intuition to guide you and see what exactly do you need right now. Do you need to be more flexible and adaptable? Or do you need to kind of like feel strong and motivated and make an extreme effort to achieve or transform something? So not an easy situation, not an easy choice. Again, some really karmic experiences might be happening to us, both relationship-wise, career-wise, and in any other way as well. So those usually feel like they are pretty strong as an experience, but at the same time, we can let them, we can release them, we can find the meaning in something deep inside of us. And with all of the retrogrades, Mercury, Venus, it's highly possible that something from the past might be showing up. So if we haven't resolved something, now it could be the time to address it. Especially when Venus is also retrograde in Capricorn. So technically Venus is not in conjunction with the Sun and Pluto, but she's still in the same sign. So pretty much, this energy is there. So relationship-wise, of course, what do we need to change? And it's also about our values, what we appreciate, what's really important, what do we love the most. Those will be really, really important things. Mercury being retrograde in Aquarius also may bring previous relationships, friendships into our life, or ideas that we haven't paid attention to or something that we have already started, we, for whatever reason, didn't finish it. Now, all of this may need to be addressed. So, a full moon really needs some energy to be released and transformed, either in the form of materializing something, like some kind of result, or letting go of something. Both are fine. So sometimes we might recognize that a particular goal is no longer relevant to us, so it's okay to let this go. Or other times, of course, it might be the time to actually see the results of something we have worked for. But really, this full moon is very provocative, very, very intense, and it can really shake us. So, yeah, lots of reevaluations. Another thing which I want to mention as well is that Jupiter is having creative aspects with both the Sun and the Moon. Jupiter is already in Pisces, so feeling quite comfortable there. And Jupiter can bring us better understanding and some kind of faith. Faith in ourselves first. Faith that we will find the right decision. And even the potential for growth. So even though we said this seems to be an intense and challenging full moon, but the potential for growth is incredible. So Jupiter is an incredible support here. So as usual, it would depend on our response, our ability to process the energy. And yeah, transformations are usually not very easy, but at the end they can be very healing, and this is basically the path to growth. So this is what we can expect with this full moon on the 17th of January. Let me know in the comments what is triggered in your chart. How do you feel about this full moon? For me personally, it's a pretty big deal because I have my sun and rising sign in Capricorn and Cancer. So it's a big one for sure. And I would love to know what is triggered in your chart. Happy full moon to everybody, and I will see you next time.